You'll never make it without me. My ex-wife laughed as she took half my business in divorce. Just a matter of time before you fail, her lawyer smirked. I said nothing, just walked away. 6 months later, my phone wouldn't stop ringing with her desperate calls. I, 34M, started my custom furniture business long before I met my ex-wife. After apprenticing with a master craftsman for 7 years, I built enough of a reputation to rent a small workshop and start creating pieces under my own name. The business wasn't huge, but it was profitable and growing steadily. 5 years in, I met her. She had a marketing degree and plenty of ideas about how to scale my humble operation. After dating for a while, she convinced me to let her handle the business side while I focused on craftsmanship. When we married a year later, I added her name to the business. I'll admit things grew under her management. She brought in wealthy clients through her country club connections, and our revenue increased. For 3 years, she handled client communications while I focused on creating. Then I discovered she'd been sleeping with one of our richest clients for months. I found out when she left her tablet at home while rushing to an emergency client meeting. A message popped up from him, explicit details about their afternoon together and plans for their next meetup. When confronted, she didn't even try to deny it. "He can give me what you can," she said coldly. A real lifestyle, not just sawdust and mortgage payments. The divorce was brutal. She played the system perfectly, convincing the judge she'd built our client base and was essential to the business's success. The truth was clients came to us for my craftsmanship, but she made herself their primary contact. The judge awarded her 50% ownership of my business. My attorney advised settling rather than fighting. She's positioned herself as the client relationship manager. Fighting will drain your resources with uncertain results. As she walked out of the courtroom with her lawyer, both smirking, she couldn't resist a parting shot. "You'll never make it without me." Her lawyer nodded, adding, "Just a matter of time before you fail." I said nothing, just walked away. A week later, she called a business meeting at her new boyfriend's penthouse. Yes, the same client she'd been sleeping with. She laid out her vision. I would continue making furniture while she handled all client communications. We'd split profits after she took a management fee. She also informed me I'd need to accommodate rush orders for her priority clients regardless of my schedule. Her boyfriend watched from across the room, smirking as she explained how things would work. I recognized him immediately. He'd commissioned a custom dining table and always found excuses to visit the workshop while I was working on it. "I'll have my attorney review any new policies," I said quietly. Her face hardened. "Don't make this difficult. You need me, remember? Without my client relationships, you're just a guy with tools in a garage." That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to fight her in court. I was going to outsmart her. First, I personally called every client we'd ever had. I didn't badmouth her or mention the divorce. I simply said I was checking in on their satisfaction with past projects and wanted to maintain a direct relationship with them for any future work. Most appreciated the personal touch. Next, I consulted my attorney about opening a new business. She could claim it's just a continuation of the existing one, he warned. You need to make it distinctly different. What if I specialized in restoration rather than new pieces? That could work. Different service offering, different client base. Just be careful about directly soliciting current clients to switch. I launched a website for my new restoration business that weekend. I'd always loved bringing old furniture back to life, but it had been a small part of our original work. I also took a part-time teaching position at a community college, which connected me with a network of talented woodworking students. Meanwhile, my ex-wife was busy managing our original business. She hired a recent design school graduate with minimal experience to replace me, rebranded with a fancy new name, raised prices significantly, and rented an expensive showroom. Her boyfriend invested heavily in the expansion. The call started about 2 months later. First, she demanded I train her new craftsmen. When I refused, she complained about quality issues. Then came threats of legal action when I remained uninvolved. You're deliberately sabotaging the business, she accused. I'm not involved in your business decisions, I replied calmly. Our business, she corrected. Your name is still on it, so clients expect your quality. Then perhaps you shouldn't have pushed me out. Problems mounted quickly. Her craftsmen couldn't match my quality, clients were complaining about defects, and they'd expanded too quickly without the production capacity to fulfill orders. My sister, who shared some social connections with my ex, reported that their reputation was already suffering. "She's telling everyone you're being difficult and sabotaging the business," my sister told me. But her friends have seen the new pieces. They know it's not the same quality. My restoration business was growing steadily. I partnered with local antique shops, worked with historical societies, and built a reputation for quality and authenticity. I hired some of my best students part-time. What I was doing was similar enough to showcase my skills, but different enough to constitute a separate business. 4 months after the divorce, my ex's mother texted me. We'd always had a good relationship, and she was disappointed in her daughter's behavior. "She's running the business into the ground. 3 negative reviews this month, and they're having cash flow problems. Thought you should know." Then something unexpected happened. Clients who'd ordered from my ex-wife's business started coming to me to fix their poorly made furniture. One such client, a retired judge, became particularly valuable. After I restored his defective bookcase, he recommended me to several colleagues. I told him the whole story, he admitted. "That woman's business practices are shameful." 5 months post-divorce, my ex-wife's lawyer called mine. "My client would like to discuss a buyout. She's willing to sell her share of the original business." The terms were laughable. She wanted twice the business's current valuation, wanted me to take over all outstanding debts, and sign a non-compete preventing me from working with any of her clients. I declined. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my workshop unannounced. Gone were the designer clothes and perfect makeup. She looked tired and stressed. "We need to talk. The business is struggling." "I'm aware," I replied, continuing my work. "You need to come back. Clients are asking for you specifically. I have my own business now." "This is ridiculous," she snapped. "You're being petty. We both know you're just doing this to get back at me. I'm doing this because you took half of something I built and then expected me to work for you. What exactly did you think would happen?" She left in tears. That night, my phone wouldn't stop ringing with her calls, which I didn't answer. The next day, her boyfriend called, wanting to talk like businessmen. When we met, he slid a folder across the table containing a new buyout proposal, this time at fair market value, which was significantly less than what the business had been worth before the divorce. "Why would I buy back half of a struggling business?" I asked. He looked surprised. "Because it's your legacy. Your name. My legacy is my craftsmanship, which I'm pursuing successfully. My name is on my new business." "Listen," he leaned forward, dropping the act. "She's impossible to deal with. The business is hemorrhaging money, clients are leaving, and she blames everyone but herself. I can't keep funding this." I almost felt sorry for him. "Almost. That sounds like a problem between you and your partner," I said, standing up. "I'm not interested in the buyout." As I left, he called after me. "She sued 3 clients for payment. They're countersuing for defective merchandise." I soon discovered she'd been calling my new clients, claiming I was illegally competing with our joint business. One elderly woman who'd hired me to restore her grandmother's rocking chair was upset after receiving an aggressive call. "She said I could be pulled into a lawsuit for hiring you," she told me worriedly. That was the last straw. I had my attorney send a cease and desist letter. In response, she actually filed a lawsuit claiming I'd violated our partnership by starting a competing business. My attorney was prepared with documentation showing the restoration business was distinctly different, testimonials from clients who'd come to me to fix her defective work, and evidence of her mismanagement. The judge dismissed her case quickly and ordered her to pay my legal fees, the final blow to her struggling business. 6 months after the divorce, exactly as I predicted, the business collapsed completely. They couldn't meet expenses, the craftsmen quit after not being paid, and multiple clients had lawsuits pending over undelivered or defective orders. They'd been taking deposits for new pieces and using the money to cover existing debts, essentially a Ponzi scheme that finally imploded. My ex-wife and her boyfriend broke up amid mutual blame about whose fault the failure was. He withdrew his financial support, leaving her with a mountain of business debt. The expensive showroom stood empty with eviction notices posted. The day after I heard the news, she appeared at my door. "Please," she begged, eyes red from crying. "I've lost everything. The business, my relationship, my condo. I need help." I looked at her for a long moment. "You were right about one thing," I finally said. I couldn't make it without you. I made it much better. I closed the door and went back to work. My phone kept ringing with her desperate calls for weeks. Eventually, I had my attorney handle all communication. The business assets were liquidated to pay creditors, and I was able to buy back my original tools at auction. She was forced to declare bankruptcy, both for the business and personally, since she'd guaranteed several loans. Her attempt to rebuild her image in our community failed as details of her business practices became widely known. Several former clients openly discussed her dishonesty at the very country club she tried so hard to impress. Her final desperate move was to approach my parents, claiming I was being vindictive and ruining her life. My father simply told her, "You made your choices. Now live with them." A year after the divorce, my restoration business eventually expanded, and I took on 2 full-time apprentices, former students who showed exceptional promise. We specialize in preserving historical pieces and creating reproductions of period furniture, with a reputation that extends far beyond our local area. Last I heard, my ex-wife moved to another state, trying to escape her reputation. She's working as a sales associate at a high-end furniture store, ironically selling mass-produced pieces that merely imitate the craftsmanship she once had access to. Sometimes I think about what she said in the courtroom that day. "You'll never make it without me." She was wrong. I didn't just make it. I rebuilt something better from the ruins she left behind. Something authentic, built on craftsmanship and integrity rather than appearances and empty promises. The business I have now reflects my true values in a way our joint venture never could. Every restoration project is a lesson in seeing the potential beneath damaged surfaces and bringing beauty back to things others might have discarded, much like my own journey. As for her empire built on deception and shortcuts, it crumbled just as quickly as it rose, proving what I'd always believed. There are no shortcuts to quality and no substitute for integrity.